Okay, good morning and welcome to Talking Bayside Business. I am your host, Rebecca Matthews. I am the transformation coach and the founder of the Mind and Body Co. The purpose of this interview series is to shine a light on some of our amazing local businesses in the Bayside area, but more importantly, to get to know the people behind the business. And so I'm thrilled this morning to introduce you to Fiona Lindberg of Beautiful Images Photography, based in Wynnum. Welcome, Fiona.
Thanks, Rebecca. It's so awesome to be invited to be a guest. Thanks for having me.
I'm so thrilled that you've been able to join me. So it's really exciting. We have this amazing community of skills and talent and knowledge, and I just think it's really under tapped into. Do you know what I mean? Like, we have this untapped market of potential, and a lot of the time we go looking for resources and services that are available right within our community.
Absolutely. It feels like this area is having a little bit of a coming of age too, which is quite interesting. It's a bit of a watch this space, you know?
It's very exciting. So I am really looking forward to hearing you share your story. Obviously, I know a little bit about your business and who you are and what makes you tick. But I can't wait to share your story with the community and get people to understand that it's so much more than just pretty pics.
You know I'm a talker. So, yeah.
Fantastic. So we're going to start off with, can you just explain to our audience, what is your business? What do you do?
Absolutely. So I am a portrait photographer. I'm a studio-based portrait photographer. My business is Beautiful Images Photography. So as a portrait photographer, I photograph people. So not products, not events, not weddings, right? I specialize in photographing women over 40, generations of women within a family, and kick-ass authentic personal branding imagery. So that's kind of the surface level of what I do. And you kind of intuited it at just a moment ago to say that it's actually so much more, I think, than just pretty pictures. You know, my whole business is built around this idea of, you know, what is actually a photograph for, and what is it? Why do we do this? Like, what does the meaning behind this? So I like to go deep with my clients. Yeah, absolutely. Like, you know, I think I spent a lot of time, you know, thinking about this, you know, just over the years that I've been a photographer. And I came to realize that what a photograph actually is just a bookmark in a moment in time, right? We place it there because we want to revisit that moment in time. And it's not the bookmark that's important, it's the pages of your life. That's the part that you want to mark for some particular reason, you know. And the odd thing about photographs are they exist for those who aren't here, right? And what I mean by that is somebody that you've loved and lost, right? A photograph of them would be irreplaceable to you. Our future selves in 50 years' time, you know, when we're older and we keep our photographs of memories we want to revisit and remember. Yeah. And it's also for those who are yet to come, you know, members of our family down the line who we might not even meet, they're yet to be born. So it's an interesting space that I get to play and create within. It's very cool.
And it's such, you know, when you've got the passion for it, it just makes the whole process so much more amazing. So a question for you is, why did you go into business? So you've spoken a little bit about why you love what you love, and but why did you choose to go into business for yourself?
Oh man, okay. I want to create an epidemic of confident women and girls. Like, this is my big mission, and this is my entry point. I'm a one-trick pony, right? I've been doing photography. I got my first camera for my 9th birthday, and I think I've just upgraded and upskilled continuously from there, you know. So I spent a really seminal point in my life working as a photographer on cruise ships. If you've been on a cruise, I was one of those pesky people, you know. I sometimes dressed as a pirate, or I'd be at a portrait stand on a formal dress evening. I went for a 6-month contract for Princess Cruises because I wanted to see the world and travel, and it seemed exciting, and I wanted to get out of Brisbane and all those things that you do when you're in your early 20s. And I stayed for 7 years. I really got bit. And photography wise, it didn't represent a huge amount of growth for me. It was very much rinse and repeat. There wasn't a lot of creativity there, but oh my goodness, I literally met and photographed tens of thousands of human beings, and from all different backgrounds and all different colors and shapes and sizes and age and beliefs and languages and all of the things that we think make us different, right? It was this amazing melting pot of people and people's stories. And, you know, people come to photographers at these really intimate times in your life when you are joining with a partner that you want to be with for the rest of your days, or you're growing a new life inside your body, or you've had a diagnosis, or you're having a divorce or something. It's very full on times. And so people share their stories, and it's my job to capture that. And that taught me a lot about what people really want, in terms of the way that they want to show up. Women in particular, you know, we just actually truly want to feel seen and feel heard, right? And during my time photographing women, I started to ask them this one question, and it became a thing. Like, I would ask, you know, do you have a photograph, or when was the last time you had a photograph of yourself that you like truly loved, right? And I get the exact same. Okay, I get the exact same 3 answers to that question over and over. And one is, well, I don't. I don't have a photograph of myself that I love. And if they do, then it's one of 2 things. On my wedding day, yes, on my wedding day, I have this beautiful photograph, and I love that photograph. Or the other answer is like they didn't know it was being taken. It's this off the cuff, like, oh, I was staring out at the ocean, which is my happy place. And I was, you know, I didn't know my friend took this photo, or I'm kind of half drunk and blurry dancing in the kitchen with my best friend. And I didn't know this picture, but I love it. It feels like me, right?
It's that moment of authenticity that somebody's captured.
Thank you, right? Where we're not aware of the camera. So we're not, you know, doing the fake, you know, smile that we've been trained to do since birth. When your mum goes, smile, you know, it's horrible, right? So we're not doing that. We're not self-aware. We're not self-conscious. And then the wedding day one really got me, right? Because I really thought about that for a long time. And it's this idea of, you know, if everybody's been to a wedding, everybody's seen a bride. Oh my goodness. Like, you never, ever see an unattractive bride. Like, it's impossible. And it's not the shoes or the hair or the dress or the flowers or the venue or the guy or any of the things that we think it is. What I actually have come to understand, and what I believe, that yes, she believes, she's been taught since birth and cultured to believe that on that one day she has permission to be the most beautiful girl in the room. And so she just actually lets her light out. On that one day, she just, right, lets it out. And I'm like, okay, what if we could allow ourselves that feeling without, you know, having to enter into a legally binding contract till death with another human being, right? You know, and spending 30 grand on a wedding. Like, what if we could just allow ourselves that feeling of just, you know, letting out our light, like showing up authentically, feeling unapologetically beautiful, and just stepping into that, right? So I wanted to create an experience where women can show up authentically for themselves, just feel unapologetically beautiful, and have the opportunity to experience themselves in a new way in order to tap into something so much deeper within themselves, that encompasses, you know, ownership of their physical presence, their face, their body, what they look like, you know, and then to take away a really powerful, lasting, beautiful trophy of that experience, so that you can always find your way back to that feeling. So
it's really interesting. We had family photos done many years ago, and it was the first time we had family photos done where we weren't sitting and posing.
Yeah.
The photographer had us running at the camera. The kids were really little. We picked the kids up and we threw them over our shoulders, and we were aeroplaning them to the camera, and we had so much fun.
Yeah.
And the photos were, I'm getting goosebumps just thinking about it. The photos were so pure and so real.
Right.
And every time I look at the photos, I immediately transport back to that feeling.
To that moment, to that day, to that feeling. Yes, awesome, right? Awesome.
Kept that image.
Yeah.
Yes, it's a beautiful image. Yes, it's a snapshot in time.
But it's
that captured the energy. Somehow that picture captured the energy, the emotion, the feeling, the happiness, the joy, everything that we were experiencing in that moment. And that is priceless.
That's priceless. How old were your kids when you had those pictures taken?
2 and 4. We did it when we celebrated moving to Australia. It was kind of our, this is our new life, our new beginning. Let's capture this. And they were perfect.
That's so cool too. I love that because, exactly everything that you said is what I'm talking about. And this idea as well, like kids, they at 2 and 4, you haven't learned the fake smile yet, right? So when you ask kids at that age to smile, what do? It's like a facial tightening. They're like, it's like terrifying, right? And it's so not their smile. It's not that joy that just bubbles from the heart up onto the surface and can be read on the face. And so that's perfect. I love that.
Yeah, it's amazing. And it's such, like you said, it's as children get older, I've had a conversation with my son this morning. He's like, Mom, no more photos. And, he's like, they're not going on social media and you're not doing this and you're not doing that. And we had a really interesting conversation around photography and what it means and why I as a mother take photos. So it was really interesting. But what do you think is the most common misconception about your business or your industry?
Oh gosh, that's a huge one. Okay, so first of all, I'm studio based, right? So people immediately, they just think studios like bad 80s, like formal, like bad, like sorry, that dirt face is like my, when you just get like bad, stiff, awkwardly posed, like sterile. Exactly. We've all seen them. There's a website like badfamilyphotos.com. It's hilarious. If you want to go down that rabbit hole, I highly recommend. But so I think that's a huge thing, and for me, studio just means control. It's a controlled environment. So, we live in Brisbane. There is literally brain melting 45-degree on the surface of the sun, heat, humidity, and where all your makeup drips down, you get sweat stains under your pits and you're just dying. Right. So I'm like, I have air conditioning. Like, it's wonderful. I have fantastic light, the backgrounds can be controlled, all of those things. Right. So for me, I think that's
important. I think, sorry, just to add into that is that, it's controlled environment. It doesn't mean you can't be creative. It doesn't mean you can't do all this awesome stuff that you can do at the park or at the beach or wherever you else might.
I'm all about creating that authenticity and that sense of play and like actual truth within this structured environment, because you can get these, of course, you just said about running along the beach and, potato sacking the kids over your shoulders and doing all the things. Like, yes, absolutely, right? But you've also got mosquitoes at the beach or random half naked, dudes and, whatever. Like, there's other elements there that you maybe don't want in your forever memories, right? So it's really just about having a controlled space. So I like the simplicity of the studio because I'm not all about all the props and like the huge pretty dresses and the flower crowns and the sunset and the twirling and that's beautiful. And I'm not dissing that. That's not my jam. I feel like that is this amazing, constructed, artificial, it's this beautiful Pinterest, Instagram worthy world where you're just like, I just want to be twirling, everybody's happy and everything's beautiful. And it's amazing, but it's kind of a Colgate commercial and I don't live there, right? So I like the simplicity of the studio and the stripping back. But I think misconception-wise, I think another huge thing is, and I saw a thread on one of the local Facebook groups about this the other day, a photo studio, they are rip-off artists. Like, this is going to cost you $6,000, girl, and you're going to be strong-armed, and it's just horrible, and it's like...
Bring that money. Yeah. Yeah,
but unfortunately, my industry is completely unregulated, which means, unlike being a plumber or like a coach or any other kind of business, I'm I got a camera, I'm good to go, I'm in business, I can be your photographer. And there's no standard that you have to attain in either, what you create or your business ethics, right? So there have been some absolute cowboys in my industry that have scorched the earth before, so you do.
They're in most industries.
It's true, but there's an element of that where people have a perception this is going to be painful. Like, most people would rather go get a root canal than put themselves in front of the camera, right? It's going to be awkward, and my kids are going to hate it, and my husband's going to complain the whole time, and then it's going to cost us $10,000. So why on earth would I do this? And I'm like, nah, I've structured a setup where everything that I do is 100% transparent, and you can walk in here and have this full experience, and you can say, wow, I got one photo that I love, and I'll take it like that, and thank you very much. And I'm like, 100%. You can choose to take all your pictures and get all the things up on the wall and do all of that. But, there isn't, I think that those misconceptions are sometimes a barrier to entry. Yeah.
100%. Now, how long have you been a Bayside business? So how long have you've got a storefront, bricks and mortar kind of business, which is kind of unique at these days.
Yeah, I do.
So how long have you been based in Wynnum?
So I've been here at my studio just coming up 3 years. So, obviously there was a big period of like us actually just, painting the walls and building the place and, doing all those things to make it a beautiful space. My studio is my sanctuary. I'm a creative, I'm an artist. Part of the whole thing is when you walk in here, like I'm going to hold this space for you. I can't hold space for you if we're in a field. Like that's too much space for me to hold, right? But I'm like, I have, this gorgeous kind of this beautiful, it feels like an artist studio. The light is to die for. I don't know if you can see this streaming in behind me, but it's like there is light for days in here, and it's all natural light, which is most beautiful. There's not cables and cords and bits everywhere. But it's that idea of you walk in and it has to feel like you're kind of in this safe space. You're in this other world, you're in a creative space. Yeah, you're in a little bubble, I always say to my clients, because one of the things is you have to address those real fears and insecurities that people have about stepping in front of the camera. You can't just dismiss it and go, oh, girl, you'll be fine. Don't worry, I got you. It's like, no, that's legit. If you don't want to see this, I'm not going to photograph that. If you don't like this, I'm not going to do that, And you can tell with the way people hold themselves and their body language, there's tension in the body, and that will photograph like I am a deer in the headlights, I am tense. So, if I can't connect with people and put them so at ease in front of my camera that they can actually truly light up from within, that feeling that you were talking about, then I can take a technically gorgeous, perfect photograph that has zero heart and soul. It's not going to be meaningful to anybody, right? Like, I have this notion of, there's that saying like beauty is in the eye of the beholder. And I just think that's absolute rubbish. Beauty's not in your eye. It's not in the eye. It's in the heart. It's a feeling. Thank you. Right. So you can get it when you're alone in a forest, or just lying on the beach, feeling the sun on your skin, just as a human being in this world. Or, when you look down at your babies when they're asleep at night, you filled up with this feeling. Right. So my job is to take you into that feeling, to guide you into that energy. When you are lit up in a full, open-hearted state of pure joy, that is beautiful. That's got nothing to do with the size of your bum or the length of your hair or, the lines on your face or any of the things that we think that it's about. It's got nothing to do with that.
Yeah.
Beautiful looks like that open-hearted joy. It looks like confidence. It looks like peace, and so my job is to guide you into that energy. I know what that looks like. I know micro tension in the body and in the face, and I know how to put people at ease in front of my camera so that, hey, we're in this beautiful space. It's got great light. It's nice and cool. It doesn't matter about this. We've got that locked down. All the other things that we could be worried about, let's just take them off the table. Now, I want you to set down those fears and insecurities and just try standing up for 10 minutes just without the weight of that on your shoulders, because I'll bet you feel like dancing around a little bit. And when you do, it's my job to capture that and show it back to you, right?
To capture that authenticity, that internal beauty. I love it.
Lit up feeling, lit up feeling. That's where it's all at. Like, I've got goosebumps talking about this. I could talk about this all day. I love it. That's me.
I love it. So what do you find, I guess this is a two-pronged question, so feel free to answer both or one or the other, but what do you find is the most challenging and rewarding parts of being a Bayside business?
Oh, okay, that's a good one. Challenging is this area that I'm in particularly. I'm in Wynnum, right? And so when my folks grew up in Brisbane, they're both from here, and they're almost in their 70s. They're in their late 60s, so they're definitely in the baby boomer era. They've lived through Wynnum being a very different place. It used to be this kind of shopping like hub, like the place to go. You know, this is pre kind of Westfield Mall era, right? And Wynnum was like this bright, shining light. And when it stopped being that bright, shining light for a wee time there, probably in the early 80s, it quite went a little bit downhill, right? So when I first said to my dad after we'd moved back to Australia, we were previously living in New Zealand, and before that in the States, you know, he was like, why on earth would you make your business in Wynnum? Like, oh, like, no, you know. And I think this area suffers from a little bit of the lag of that maybe not so great reputation.
Because there's so much in this community. There's so much gold, the hidden gems and the opportunities.
But all the locals, do you notice they're all kind of like like don't let them think that. It's okay. Like walk on, right? So this place is a really, like, it's an untapped potential, and it's just coming into that. There feels like there is so much happening in the local area. You know, the new mall has gone in. There's all these incredible businesses, new beautiful apartments, a new school, like the cinemas, like, and we are like, the ocean is like there. It is like 2 minutes walk down my street, and I'm on the incredible Bayside waterfront. It's beautiful, right? So that can be a positive and a negative, but I think one of the massive positives about being here is there is that old school sense of actual community.
Yes.
Like, right? Like people know each other, people know their neighbors, people, like, you know, if my kid was walking to school and, you know, other people, they're like, yeah, cool, come over to it. Like, everybody's super friendly. All the business owners along the high street here in Bay Terrace, everybody knows each other by first name. We check in on each other. There's a beautiful actual sense of community. So
yeah, I love that. And that really was, you know, so much of what inspired me to do this interview series is that I just, you know, I'm someone that loves connection. I love collaboration. I love community. So, you know, when we moved here, we were just so taken by the community spirit. And I think, you know, you're always going to have people at both ends of the spectrum, but there is absolutely that beautiful community and spirit, and that real genuine desire to see each other succeed, particularly in this business space. So I love that. That's both your pro and your con. So
I think the demographic has massively changed. This is a town full of young families, right? And everybody wants to see their kids thrive. Everybody wants a safe place for their family. And so I think that old reputation is no longer deserved. And there are so many beautiful and vibrant, fresh businesses in this area. It's like I said, the locals are kind of like, this is just like, this is a quitting, you know, don't price us out of our own neighborhood, okay? Like, just keep that on the down low. Like, yeah.
It's funny, isn't it? Because I remember, you know, when we moved here and we were like, where's your favorite place to picnic? Where's your favorite place to do this or that, whatever? People are like, well, I'll tell you, but don't tell anybody else.
That's hilarious.
You don't want too many people going there, which I think is hilarious.
You know, like north side, south side of Brisbane is a thing, right? Like people who live on the south side in the Bayside, they're like, is it north side? Like, what is that, north of Chermside? Like, I don't know anything. But beyond there, right? And north side people are like, I don't know the south side. Like, what's going on? But I think all of us in the Bayside are like, are you kidding me? Like Stradbroke Island and the Bay and everything that's right on our door. And you talk to people on the north side and they're like, I've never been to Stradbroke. And you're like, that's okay.
I love that. So one of the next things I wanted to cover was, you know, you've been in business for a few years now in Wynnum. You've noticed the changes that it's been going through. I was going to ask you about that, but you kind of already touched on the evolution of the local business space. What are your goals for the next 12 months in your business?
Oh, okay. So, well, that's a good one. I launched a campaign last year that kind of came out of the COVID lockdown period where, you know, like everybody's running around like, oh my God, I'm so busy. I would do all these things, but I'm so busy. And then the universe goes, here you go. A whole bunch of time to not be busy.
Yeah.
What are you going to do with it? You know? And for me, it was really an opportunity to focus on what am I doing? If I'm creating this as a business, what work actually fills my soul and really serves my client in the best way? What lights me up inside, and why, you know, I want to create meaningful work. You know, like I always say, it's so much more than pretty pictures. So
you're speaking my language.
Right? I want to actually, yes, it sounds like this fluffy thing, right? Oh, you come get your picture taken. No, right? Like, yes, it's a photo. It's so much more than a photo shoot. So I launched a campaign called 40 over 40. And the idea was I wanted to document 40 women over 40 and share their story. I sent out a questionnaire that had 10 questions for them. And it was kind of charged stuff, like if you could go back in time and speak to your younger self, like what would she need to hear? And one of my favorites was how has your relationship to the role of motherhood defined you or changed you? Because one of my ideas about one of the big judgment sticks that as women we're hit with in our culture and our society is our relationship to the role of motherhood. So you've chosen not to have children. You kind of got to be a bit of a cold bitch then, right? Like, or, you know, you had like 6 kids. Don't you think that's enough? Like, when are you going to stop, right? If you only had 2 boys, are you going to try for a girl, or vice versa? You know,
that's the crazy thing though, about when you live for societal expectations, you're never going to get it right.
You're never going to get it right. And you're always going to be judged on that. Like, women are judged primarily on our appearance and our role in motherhood. Wherever we land on that fence, you know, our ability comes way down the track. So I wanted to not reduce these women to just a picture. I wanted to provide a platform to share their stories. So I am still coming through that. I want to get that message out to more women. I would like to see some more women from the local area to jump onto that campaign.
I turn 40 in a few weeks. I would love to be a part of your 40 over 40.
Wow, you're in. All right. Done.
Exactly. But all of the reasons you've just said is the reason I do what I do, because, you know, we lose ourselves, not just women, but we all lose ourselves in the expectations of our parents, of our spouses, of our colleagues, of our peers, of our cultures, of our everything, right? So how do you do something that touches your soul?
Yes, right. There's this, you know, everybody has, I think most people have experienced this. There's like a visual thing, right? That's to do with the phases of the moon, right? As this representation of like women through the phases of their life, right? And it goes like maiden, mother, crone. Like, right? Yeah, I'm renaming this segment is now wise women.
I'm immediately rejecting that concept.
Yeah, okay, but like, I think the reason why it is a concept is because, you know, when you are yet to become a mother or not to become a mother, if you stay not being a mother, if you do become a mother, there is this idea of like literally your whole life kind of gets burned down and reduced to ashes. And like a phoenix, you kind of rise again and you build a new creature out of the ashes of what that former person was. And you're not 100% her, but she's not 100% gone either, right? And I think that the culture of, you know, motherhood requiring extreme martyrdom, like you martyr yourself for your children and all of the things, right? And you know, you come last, you know, career and family and friends and social life and kids and it's all up there. And if there's anything left in the bucket, well, then maybe that's for me, right? So there's that idea of, you know, women putting themselves last. And after a few years of this journey down the path, potentially through motherhood, it can also be through career and just the call of more important work. So often I feel like we just put ourselves up on a shelf, right? And we kind of get lost, forgotten, neglected along the way. And I wanted to create something where it was a process of like reclaiming that and what that is and what it looks like, and, you know, putting an image to it and having an experience where you defined that, you know? So that was a really long, and that was like one thing. I'm like, I want to do this one thing about that. But I'm like, I want to develop a new genre within my business this year that's like not boudoir. Even saying that word makes me throw up a little bit in my mouth, but I'm like, because I think traditionally boudoir is, the concept of it is like you come and you take your clothes off and you have like sexy lingerie and it's all kind of in the like department, and it's geared for the viewing pleasure of somebody else, right? And so that's all the things within me that I reject about that traditional of that. But here's the rub. I've had these amazing, like more and more frequent kind of shoot experiences where women have come and gone, I kind of want to do like a lot of naked pictures, but not like vulgar.
For me.
Like for me. Thank you. And it is a process of stepping into and owning your body in a confident way. And it's not like, here's everything, right?
And they're not what you're going to share on social media. They're for your own personal.
Yeah. Right. And also, if you've got a partner, they'll probably really like looking at these too, but it's not for them. You're not doing it for someone else's appreciation, for someone else's tantalization, none of that. It's not done for that in mind. It's done for you, so that you go, this is me, this is my body, this is the vehicle in which it will move me through this corporal life, right? So that's really cool. And I want to push myself into a bit more of a speaking role so that I can light up more women than the currently one at a time that I'm doing. So,
and you know, from what I know of you and the work you do, you are on a mission to do so much more than just take amazing photos.
That's my
point. I don't say just take photos, because you do so much more than that, and that's the value. And to share that message and share that journey is, I can't wait to see you on a stage. It'll be amazing. What are your hopes and dreams for the Bayside community over the coming year?
Oh, just that, you know, that it really grows into its new kind of legs, if that makes any sense, right? There is so much uplift in this particular area, I think. And, you know, I think those, like, you know, I said my parents are like almost 70, and they had this very old kind of opinion of they haven't visited, they haven't checked out that, you know, and you're like, okay. So I think, you know, it's really that coming of age that I kind of mentioned before about this particular area. And at the same time, you do kind of, as a local, you do kind of go, it's almost this hidden gem, right? Like, we are so lucky to have Moreton Bay and all the Bay Islands, and just the lifestyle that being by the Bay represents down here. You almost don't want it to turn into like Byron Bay, or, you know, anything that's like all of a sudden everyone goes, hey, have you discovered this amazing place? Like, everybody come. You're all like a little bit, yeah. But I think to just see that uplift, more new, beautiful, vibrant businesses coming in, all the diversity that really just creates the beautiful lifestyle here on the Bay. Yeah,
absolutely, absolutely. And for me, you know, we moved up from Melbourne at the start of last year. We came up and everything got cancelled for the year, and everybody's been telling me about all the amazing events and festivals and markets and this, that, and the other thing that happened, and we've seen none of it. So I went to the Fringe, which was amazing, but that was really the first event that we saw happen last year. So I'm really excited to see a lot of that stuff start to make its way back.
Oh, you wait. It's going to be amazing.
I can't wait. Perfect. And my last question for today is, what is your favorite spot? If you could name one of your local favorite cafes, restaurants, picnic spots, beach spots, what's your favorite thing to do or go, place to go?
Oh my gosh, that's hard, because there are so many to choose from. Like, immediately kind of three just pop into my mind and vie for attention. My very favorite, I would say, is a beautiful local bar and restaurant called Tide on the Jetty. That place is amazing, and it's so it's incredible atmosphere, you know, beautiful decor where you just feel like at ease as soon as you walk in. You know, great food and drink, obviously, great service, all of those good things. For me, I think there's because of my years working on cruise ships, you know, I spent a lot of time in the Caribbean because it's an American-based cruise line, and my husband and I kind of have our love story within that setting. So for us, particularly going there, all the bars, all the great restaurants and bars in the Caribbean were built out over a jetty, and you could see the boats coming and going and look at the water, and there was that just feeling of that wide open space. And Tide taps into that for me, definitely for my husband and I particularly.
I love that. And on those scorching days you mentioned earlier, nothing better than sitting in that beautiful open window.
Yes, and the breeze, right? And it's awesome. Yeah, best.
Perfect. So shout out to Tide Bar.
Absolutely.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much for joining me today. And I can't believe we got through all the questions. And I think you captured most of my questions in other answers, so it's sped up the whole thing. But I'm going to share your contact details in the contact content that I attached to this video. But what is the best and simplest way for people to reach out to you? Is there a preferred platform or medium that you like to use?
No, I'm on Instagram and Facebook as Beautiful Images Photography. I have a website. I have a studio, as you mentioned, just on Bay Terrace. If you know where Frenchie's Cafe is, I'm right next door to that. Hit me up through the website or follow along on social media. I love to connect with people on social. And it's a visual platform, so you get to see my work, which is really cool.
Perfect. And I know I'm asking this question because one of our previous interviewees was said, don't call me. I never answer my phone.
But I love talking on the phone. If you call me, we are going to have some deep and meaningful conversation. I don't go chit chat. Like, I'm like, hi human, tell me your worst fears and greatest hopes. Like, I'm like, right. So I love talking to people on the phone.
If someone wants to pick up the phone and give you a call, you're all into that.
Oh yes.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much for joining me, and I do hope that the women of this amazing community really take that step to do something wonderful for themselves and come and see you and experience what it is to be seen and captured and create this beautiful memory, and maybe rope in the family members, their partner, their children, their mother, their father, all of those generations, and capture those moments and those memories because they're so special. So thank you so much for joining me, and I can't wait to see how the community step up and support you in your business going forward. Thanks so much for your time.
Thank you so much, Rebecca. What a pleasure.
Bye for now.